I'm Brenda. Welcome back to my quilt room. Today we're going to be doing block of the month for August, and this one is really cute. I really liked it. I'm finding a lot of old blocks and that I've never made before, and it's been fun and interesting getting to learn to do these different blocks. This one for this month, it's called Hobson's Kiss. Isn't that cute? It might look complicated, but it really isn't. It's very easy. I know we've been sewing a lot of these that look like pinwheels, and they're like triangle, quarter triangle units. So I know we're sewing a lot on the bias. And the bias is when you're sewing on part of the fabric that's diagonal. So I just wanted to take a minute and mention that it might help for you to not stretch your fabric when you're sewing. If you want to spray it with like a light starch, I don't use a heavy starch when I'm sewing, and I like this, and you can probably pick this up at any grocery store. So it just kind of helps stabilize your fabric when you're doing a lot of bias sewing. So I just wanted to mention that. So let's get down to this block. You can see in the center, it's made of one large quarter square triangle and then 4 little small ones in each corner. So for this block, again, there are PDF instructions in the description below, so you don't have to memorize all of this. Now, you will need 4 fabrics. So I'm just going to show you what my 4 fabrics are. The first one is a light fabric, that's my white. And there are 2 mediums. That's going to be this green with the holly leaves and this beige color I'm calling medium. You will have 1 dark, and that's what I'm calling this pine cone fabric is my dark. So that's all in the instructions again. And the way you cut this out with your 7.5-inch square, it makes 2 of these. So in the instructions, you're getting the instructions for this. I thought, well, when it made 2 of these, I would just go ahead and cut enough of the fabric to go ahead and make my 2 blocks, because why waste it? So since this one is already made, when I did this block, it's exactly the same process. So I'm gonna show you how to do that with this one. I have 2 of my little ones already made, and we're gonna sew this one, and I'm gonna show you how to cut it to make that. And again, it's the exact same process, it's just a larger square here. So let's go over to the sewing machine. There's a diagonal line down the middle, and I've dotted the seam lines that I'm going to be sewing on, and we're going to sew this and then cut it apart. A little bit of history on this block. I try to look up the history. Hobson was a real person. He was a naval officer in the Spanish-American War, and he was considered a hero, so it was quite interesting, I thought. If you want to look up that history about that. As you know, quilt blocks, a lot of quilt blocks, they all have different names. There was another one for this called Geometric Designs, but I thought Hobson's Kiss sounded much more interesting. So we're going to go with that one. Okay, so now we're going to cut. We're going to cut this apart, corner to corner, just the way we sewed it. and you're going to cut it again from corner to corner. And you'll have 4 triangle units. So that makes those 4. And just turn them back and kind of crease them with your fingernail. Dark side or darker side out. These were so easy. And I thought that was a super cute block. So a lot of these blocks that we're doing, I mean, you could do them again later and make them into a whole quilt. So now you're going to take your 4 pieces and match them up and nest your seams at the center. I'm a pinner, so I always pin mine so that they go together really well. And then try not to stretch this is the bias edge again. So at this point, you may want to lay these on your ironing pad and just give them a light spray with starch and press them a little bit before you stitch them together. I don't heavily starch because it can shrink your quilt piece if you're not careful. And I don't use steam. Okay, now we're going to stitch these together. And just so you know, I am not stitching over top of my pin. It is far enough away from my needle that it's just holding my fabric in place. Okay, and now you have those, and we want to square these up to 3.5 inches is where we will be squaring. What I like about this ruler too is you'll see when I put the line on here, it's got the line to the top of the triangle to the point there. And so we'll just line that up, trim this off. Oh, didn't get that one. Okay, and we still didn't get that one. What is going on here? Okay, maybe I need to change my blade in my cutter a little bit. Always have scissors handy. And cut that little piece off. Okay, so there's one, and here's the second one. Get that lined up. Things don't always work exactly for us the first time either. And there. So that one. And there we have our 1/4 square triangles. Now after you've done that, if you want, you can, I've showed you this before, take your little connecting threads in the center and you can just pull those right out with a seam ripper and then mash your little center connecting seam there down and swirl your your seams, and your block will be nice and flat. And we'll do that again on this one. Okay, same thing. They just naturally want to lay down that way. And then, of course, you can trim off your little dog ears. And do this one. Okay. So there's that. So we have all 4 of our quarter square triangles. Now you'll have 8 of these each for your blocks, and you just sew these rectangle pieces right sides together. And I've already done the other 3, so we'll do this one. So you can just chain piece these together. It's very simple, like sewing on this block. Okay. Now, and I pressed with my medium green to the outside. So we have all of our units now. So this is how you'll lay your block out. You'll put your large quarter square triangle in the center, and each of your 4 rectangles around the center of the block. And it just becomes a big 9 patch to sew together. And we put the white toward the inside. And that is it. That is the whole block. That's your whole block. And you will just sew these to the sides and out. Same here, to the sides and out and the bottom. And your block, then just trim it down to your 12 inches, and you're going to have Hobson's Kiss. So I hope you enjoyed this block, and until next time, thanks for watching and being part of this process. We'll see you later.